And in the depths of shattered halls, I wandered all alone, casting whispers, binding chains, demons of my own. I seek deafening, down spread on my frail soul. I once feared my mirror, haunted by my role. But in the echoes of my cries, distant light emerge, guiding me to where my true results are. Now I rise from the shadows with wings of fire and sand, free from the chains of sorrow, on this path of forever defend. Shattered glass beneath my feet, scars I wear but dry. Stormy nights just turn to dawn, where truth that's my guide. Anxiety's dissolved in the sun's golden rays. See my destiny through time and space. The fears that once consumed me now they take. For in my heart a new world is proclaimed. Now I rise from the shadows with wings of fire and sand, free from the chains of sorrow, on this path I forever depend. With symmetry I found the power, blessings granted by the hour. Together we will carve the way. Revolution calls and I'm not strong. Now I rise from the shadows with wings of fire and sand, free from the chains of sorrow, on this path I forever depend.
The word tariff is a word for a particular kind of tax. That's all. It's not something different from a tax. It's a kind of tax. What kind? It's not the kind that is taken out of your income, your weekly check. That's an income tax. Or it's not the kind of tax attached to when you buy something in the local department store. That's a sales tax. This is called a tax on imported goods and services produced outside the United States that are brought in and sold inside. If the product crosses the border into our country, it is taxed. And that tax is called a tariff. It could be called an import duty. And you know why I say that? Because it used to be called an import duty. To go back in American history, that's what it was called, okay? It's an import duty. And now, next point. Who pays it? The importer. So everything that you buy, a French wine, a Japanese electronics, a coffee from Brazil, whatever, that's a good produced over there, coffee in Brazil, a wine in France, and so on, brought into the United States. The tax, the import duty, the tariff, is paid by the American company that imports whatever it is. It's not paid by the French wine producer or the Brazilian coffee producer or the Japanese electronics producer. If it's a tariff on Chinese goods, it's not the Chinese who pay it. They don't pay a nickel of that. That's a tax the American government places on the American importing business that brings stuff in from outside. Let me give you the grossest example right now, because it's important to our lives. Starting 10 or 15 years ago, every major car company in the world started work on the electric car. Here in America, we know one success story, Tesla and Elon Musk, because he's famous. But in fact, the competing car companies took 15 years, and we now know who won the competition. When I say we, I don't mean the American people, from whom this little detail has largely been kept. The most successful competitor in producing an electric car is something most Americans never heard of. It's called the BYD Corporation. B is in boy, Y is in yellow, and D is in dog. BYD. It's the largest producer of electric vehicles in China. It's a Chinese corporation. If you go to Europe right now, a quarter of all the electric vehicles on the road are BYD electric cars because they are the best and the cheapest. Nobody is close. Okay, what did the United States do? The United States put a tariff, a tax on electric vehicles from China. It used to be 27.5%. That's a lot. It was raised by Mr. Biden to 100%. Here's what it means. If there's a $30,000 electric car, which is the best in the world, and that's what the Chinese have, and that's what they offer for sale all over the world, where it is being bought in huge numbers all over the world because it's the best and the cheapest. No mystery there. But there's 100% tax. So if you wanted to buy it here, you would have to pay 30,000 that goes to the Chinese producer, BYD, plus another 30,000, that's 100%, the same amount, that goes to Uncle Sam as a tax. Again, it goes to Uncle Sam. Now let me stop myself and make you all appreciate the Republican presidential candidate of a party that prides itself on being the tax cutting party, proudly supports tariffs, that's a tax, on American business, that's who pays the tax, as if it weren't a complete contradiction to their anti-tax position of many decades standing. Amazing. Amazing that he can get away with it. Amazing that he can keep saying that I hit the Chinese with a tariff. You didn't hit them. You hit the Americans with that tariff. The Chinese don't pay the tariff. This is amazing. And the only thing more amazing than that, he says this stuff, is my amazement when I read, for example, in the New York Times, articles and editorials, presumably supervised by editors there, who don't have the ability to say, wait, stop. There's a fundamental error. It's as if he said, if you travel west from New York, you will hit Ireland. No, you won't. You're going to hit China. Stop. He can't keep saying, I'm going to hit Ireland, then we hit. Somebody has to say, excuse me, Emperor, you've got no clothes on. You're talking really out of the wrong end of your physical self here. Stop. But they don't. And so we have this conversation, which is very weird because it's a back and forth on the basis of a premise that is completely wrong-headed about it all.
Let me ask this. Donald Trump is not not your traditional Republican.
No.
He's also his politics seem to be much more around, at least his stated politics, around protectionism. Isn't the idea of a tariff, even if it is a tax, well, it is a tax, as you said, even as being a tax, isn't the idea then is that you are artificially driving up the price of foreign goods that come in order to give your domestic producers an edge in selling the product here on a national level?
Absolutely. That's what it is. And that's what the impulse is behind. Or he doesn't understand it, so he articulates it very poorly. But yes, you're absolutely right. There's a protectionist impulse. But here's the problem. This issue has been around for centuries. Countries, governments, before we had democracies, before we had parliamentary systems, when we had kings and queens, they too protected domestic. This is an old idea. And therefore, economists and other thinking people have asked the question, does it work? If you raise the taxes, do you get to protect your industry? And the answers that we've come to, which any half educated person would have to acknowledge on some level, like you acknowledge I know about fire, and I know that we don't have to rub sticks together to get a fire going. We have this new invention, matches, they work much faster. Yeah, okay, here's what the research has shown us for centuries. You will get some protection for some time, yes, but you will lose all kinds of things, which over time will not only accumulate, but overwhelm the protection you got. So you can play the game, but you better play it for a short time, and you better play it with a lot of adjustments, or else you're going to be real sorry. And the reason for that is not complicated. I'll give you just two examples. I'm going to play off the electric car because I already laid out the story. Every American company, oh, not every, but almost every American company, whatever they produce, has a need for trucks and or cars. And everybody is switching over sooner or later from the oil and gas for all the reasons to electric. Okay. Every American company will have to pay much more than their competitors around the world for their fleets of electric trucks and electric cars. Why? Because everybody else in the world is buying the best quality at the lowest price, which is China. Americans can't do it. They have to pay much more because they're buying domestic, which were protected by that tariff. Okay, you got good news for the American electric car companies. They got protected. Everybody else got screwed. Everybody else, the company in Wisconsin that is a taxi driver, they buy taxis. They're going to have to spend $50,000 for an inferior electric car compared to some other. Well, this is going to hurt them.
So it drives up the prices for everything.
Yes, the price for everything is shaped in part by the cost of the vehicle you buy, with the truck that brings your parts, with the truck that takes your output to wherever the market is. Every American producer, sooner or later, needs vehicles. And we are saying that in America, the price of electric vehicles is going to be markedly higher than everywhere else, which gives an edge to everywhere else, which is going to lead Americans to lose their jobs, lose their markets. That's what the research shows. That's what the empirical record shows. That's what any responsible political leader would have to acknowledge. Can you use protection for a particular industry at a particular time? Yeah, but you better put a short-term, maximum months or years on it. Promise to get out of it. And I haven't even told you what the biggest reaction is. The biggest reaction is retaliation. Mr. Trump talks as if we can put tariffs. Yeah, but so can everybody else. And then what happens to the American company, which wants to sell its goods in all those other countries that are slapping tariffs on America because America has hit them with tariff? Got to count that in too. That's going to have effects. It's going to cut off our markets. It is not simplifying. It is simple-minded to talk about tariffs the way he does, as if the Chinese pay the price for them, as if Americans as if Mr. Trump came upon this great idea of a tariff, which has these wonderful, there we go, advertising mentality. You tell the plus story, you don't tell the minus story. He never worries about retaliation. Why? Because there isn't any? No, there is. The Chinese are already retaliated. They have. And we have lost out because of that. We are losing out right now. The Chinese, for example, have a monopoly or a near monopoly on something called rare earths. crucial minerals under the soil that you need for all kinds of advanced technology, including military. It exists under the ground in China. They have it. They've been selling it around the world, and America's been buying it. The Chinese announced, we may not sell it to you anymore. You tariff our electric cars. We exclude it. Hello. Where's the New York Times explaining to people there's a serious cost here? And the whole rest of the world, let me drive this home. The whole rest of the world watches, and they see that the United States may, in a few weeks, elect this man again to do this tariff stuff. And they're saying to themselves, okay, we have to understand that in that country, that strange country, this sort of behavior is on the rise. The people seem to support it. They're voting for the guy in large numbers. He may win. And even if he doesn't, if he comes close, that's the lesson we have to take away. So you know what we have to do? We have to protect ourselves against his protecting. And that's what they'll do. And then the one protection will set off the other one, which is another one of the arguments in a ton of literature that say, don't go down this path because it will come back and bite you in the rear end.
And that's something that's agreed by Marxist economists and
yes,
classical
Marxist,
economists. And
listen, as I've told you before, in my PhD class in economics at Yale, one of my classmates was Janet Yellen. She knows exactly what's going on with tariffs. She's a smart person. She did well in her studies. She had the same teacher, the same books, the same lectures I did at the same time. She knows. She knows. And people like her who've had a reasonable education in economics, they know. There is something going on here that all the people who know, who should include editors of economics at the New York Times, heaven knows, seem to be out to lunch on this stuff. They're so lost in the low level of American politics that not only do we seriously discuss the eating of pets as an issue, but we actually discuss these tariffs as if we were 5 years old.
I want to make sure we have enough time for the other economic item I want to get into with you, and that is price gouging. This is part of the cornerstone of Kamala Harris's platform on the economy. Price gouging, especially at the supermarket. This is something that you have talked a great deal about on your own program, Economic Update. The critique, at least coming from the conservative side towards Kamala Harris and this idea around price gouging, is that she'll try to institute price controls. She denies that. What do you think is important to understand about price gouging and how you deal with it?
Okay. Price gouging is one of those topics where the beginning of an answer is to remind everybody that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. What we see tells us more about us than what it is we're looking at. And here we go. In business, in capitalist business, there is a phrase: you charge what the market will bear. You
What's going on, everybody? I'm the Benefactor, your host on Beneficence TV, and welcome to the pregame show for the League of Extraordinary Inventors. This was your economic update with Professor Richard Wolff, and now we will be getting into some, going over some basics for how the Joule Thief works. Specifically the modified Joule Thief that Michel Morel developed and is helping me mass produce for you guys as a consumer product, which should be available on the market later next year, at some time next year. I can't say exactly when, but we're going to try to get those out to you guys for those of you who want to test or utilize the device for your own energy saving means, but don't necessarily have the time or the capabilities to build one yourself. I know the coil, I can't sell the coils, but we do have tutorials on how to build your own coil along with the coil frames, and I will be looking into trying to sell kits, specifically if I create my own frame, which is not that hard to do. We should be able to do that. I should be able to sell those pre-made and with a bundle of wire already pre-soldered with 2 channels or 3 depending on the design, and that should suffice for being able to satisfy all of the legal arrangements that have been put in place for everything that has a patent so far. Now, what you do with the coil is up to you, but specifically we have tutorials on how to wind it and how I'm winding it and configuring it, and we just want to get this streamlined as much as possible, because it is a bit of a process, especially if you're not familiar with how to build these things. So we're going to go into how the Lightning Thief works, some of the preliminary data, and then later on the League of Extraordinary Inventors main show, we will be going over the actual final results and final data that have yet to be proofread by my lab partner, the mathematician, and we also want to be able to get those results out to Victor Sears and have him analyze them as well. But at taking everything at face value, if they are accurate, they are indications of significant energy gains. But I don't want to overpromise anything on the Lightning Thief specifically. So we're going to hold back on any claims of overunity for this device until we have people verify the math. And once that happens, we're going to go through a second process where I get some of these devices out to the team for testing before we go commercial with it. Now, overunity or not, this device does have a remarkable ability to squeeze batteries of extra energy, considering that most devices won't register a 12-volt battery once it's reached 11.8 to 11.5 for most devices. Some devices will register it down to 11, but this device will squeeze almost all of that energy out. I've gotten it down to 5 volts. Now, I don't recommend this. This was just to see how far it could go and how far I could squeeze it. But yeah, it went down to 5 volts. So that's pretty good. In terms of, like, if you have a battery and the power's out and the battery's dead or half dead and it won't, like, register with your regular lighting device or backup system, you can utilize the Lightning Thief. And this is proven here. This is what it's capable of, and I'm able to successfully and confidently claim this. Now, regarding overunity, we can't make any claims on that front, but we can present the data and then have the data be analyzed and proofread and then independently verified. So that's our process right now. Nice. Society of High Sciences sent a strong arm emoji. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate all you guys' support, all the love, all the comments. It really, really makes my day. Make my day. All right, so we're going to jump into window capture. Yes, so we're going to go into, if I can find it. Ah, there it is. All right, so this is the preliminary data, and we're also going to briefly go over how the Lightning Thief circuit is made, how you build it, and if you want to utilize the diagram here that Michelle provided, you can do that. It's all open source. The only thing is, it is his circuit, so we are the only ones who are trying to, get this out there on the market. We're going to try to put a patent on it as well if that's what's necessary to protect it. But as it stands right now, everything is open source, and we will be trying to develop a consumer version of this Lightning Thief. So let me pull up the diagram here for you guys, and then we're going to watch the video. And I want to just briefly explain here what's different about this diagram compared to the Nunez excitation circuit. And it's not much, just a couple of modifications. Oh, there we go. Okay. So, as you can see here, we have our source at the top left corner, 15 volts input to channel A start. All right, so in reference to my system, you know that I color-coded my system. Channel A start and end is red for start, black for end, respectively, positive, negative. And then I try to balance that on the other side for channel B. Channel B start is yellow, and channel B end is green. So that's my setup right here. So we have the source of 15 volts going into the start of channel A. And the red is actually connected to the green here, which is the end of channel B, right? So we connect those two, and we have the power supply feeding the energy in both channels in different directions. So that's the most important thing about this right here, and that's the most important thing about the Nunez method regarding the stereo amp receiver diagram that we've taken a look at in the past. So the Nunez open circuit method is the same thing, and Daniel Nunez himself emphasizes that the only way that you can achieve these kinds of energy gains is by feeding the energy in different and opposite directions. And it doesn't really matter which one comes first, as long as you're creating those two counter-rotating vortexes, right? Two counter-rotating electromagnetic fields, not one rotating in the same direction, right? You want them to be rotating in opposite directions to create that 0 point on the coil's equatorial plane in the middle between them. Vor says, Ben, get with me if you want advice on patents. Best way is through Nathan or Sean, unless yes. Give me your email, or if you want, you could just email me at BeneficenceTV@gmail. If you're not comfortable in posting your email, that's fine. Just email me, and we will need some advice in that area regarding what we should do about this circuit, because we want to keep it open source, but we don't want anybody infringing on it for sure. Because, we can have somebody come in and say, hey, we're going to patent this, so we should probably have some kind of patent to protect us on this. But as it stands, everything's open source. Yeah. And honestly, it's really useless without, we haven't tested this on any other coil. I assume it's going to be useful on any bifilar coil that you can feed energy in multiple directions with two channels. But I don't know. But the Joule Thief is made for specifically a different kind of coil that is, a bifilar wound around an iron core. So an iron ferrite core or whatever. It's either iron or ferrite. I think it's ferrite. But anyways, I'm not sure what we can get away with coil-wise here. Right? We might be able to hook up one of the traditional coils that you would hook up to a Joule Thief and get away with some kind of efficiency gains. I'm not sure. I know the Joule Thief will be successful in squeezing any battery. That's usually the case with the circuit. That's what it's designed for primarily. But when we have two channels like this feeding energy in multiple directions, creating those two counter-rotating fields, excuse me, it's a different game. You're in a different ballpark then. So, and specifically, what's different about this is, okay, so you have, this is all standard in terms of the Jewel Thief setup. You have basically the start of channel B connected to the collector of the transistor. And then the base is that's regulating it is connected to the end of channel A, so the black wire, the negative. The negative is the one that's regulating it, and that's very important for an NP, because it's an NPN transistor that we're using, right? It's not a PNP transistor. Oh, hey, Vors hit me with the $2 super chat. Appreciate that, Vors. Every little bit helps, and I know it's hard times, but everything helps keep the lights on at this point, so we really appreciate all the love and support. I will say, if we get a few more super chats, I definitely will build a Jewel Thief circuit blindfolded. So that will be fun. Anyways, what's different about this regarding this version and the standard circuit by excitation circuit? No, hey, every little bit helps, Vors. You you don't have to feel bad. $2 adds up. If everybody could send even 50 cents, it would really like accumulate real fast. So it's a matter of perspective, and it's a matter of patience, you know. But at either rate, this channel is growing. It's growing exponentially, and it's growing pretty. It's going pretty good compared to other channels in the same genre, although I will say that Nathan is killing it. His numbers lately have been amazing, and I have to congratulate him on his channel's success. He's almost at, I think, 6,000 subscribers, and his channel is almost the same age as mine. Like, we've only been going for about a year, so this is we're coming up to the anniversary almost of this channel, specifically Beneficence TV. So yeah, he's definitely a boss. So back on topic, what's different about this than compared to the regular excitation circuit from Daniel Nunez of One Stop Energies is that we're using a different rated potentiometer and a different rated resistor along with a different transistor. Now, we're still hooking up the load between the collector and the emitter like a standard Jewel Thief. I can't remember if there might have been a version where this actually was part of the Jewel Thief and the Practical Guide to Free Energy Devices, some kind of modified version. I think this was where you can connect the two channels like this. This might have been where Daniel Nunez, that's where I think he got the idea from for his excitation circuit. Was, I believe he did even say at one point, if I'm not mistaken, that he did get a copy of the Practical Guide to Free Energy Devices to see which area would be worth study, and I believe that's where he found the Rodin coil and you know, electromagnetic coils in general to be that area. Specifically regarding utilizing back EMF and energy from the vacuum, as Tom Bearden likes to say. So, yeah, we're using a 1 mega ohm potentiometer here, right? And we're using this in series with a 1K ohm 2 watt rated resistor. Now, I didn't have a 2 watt at the start, so it didn't seem to be a problem for me, but it did burn out at a certain power. So, like, once you push it past a certain range, depending on your coil, you might not see the effect tuned until you push it past a certain power threshold. And fortunately, that threshold was low enough where I didn't see this resistor fry out. But it might be different for yours. I can't say for sure. So just to be safe, if you can, use a 2 watt resistor for basically all of these resistors that you're going to use in the circuit. Because what we're going to do is we're going to use the potentiometer, and we're going to hook up the coil, and we're going to use this neon lamp as our indicator of resonance. And we're going to take the potentiometer all the way to one end, and then we're going to slowly drag it up to the other end and look at the neon lamp. And once it's in resonance, you'll see it start light up. But like I said, there's a power threshold. So there's an amplification variable that you have to consider. So say your coil's not getting 10 times amplification at resonance, it's only getting 2 times. You're going to have to put in, 25 volts, I believe. 30 volts. Yeah, at least 30 volts into the coil if you're going to see that 2 times actually light up that neon lamp. Now mine's getting like 21 times. It's ridiculous. It lights up 4 neons. It's awesome. It really is cool. Mark 1 has been a giant success in terms of what it's capable of doing with this circuit. And I'm really proud of Michel. I'm sorry to say I was mispronouncing his name. It's not Michael, it's Michel. He has one of the most badass names in my opinion, Michel Morel. It just rolls off the tongue. But yeah, this is his circuit. He helped me in this research, and he redesigned the excitation circuit with this potentiometer and resistor and transistor, which I'll go into in a second, to tune our coils. And he nailed it. It works. The lightning thief works. This transistor is one that John Bedini recommends for his Tesla switch circuit, which is very interesting. That I when I found that out, I was like, wow, that makes sense. It is an NPN. It's made to collect the back EMF, or it's made to be regulated in at the base with the negative, right? So an NPN, you want to regulate it with the negative, and that's what we're doing here. We're regulating it with the back EMF, and it is essentially acting as an oscillating circuit. So we're putting the system in resonance, and as you know, the coil has a remarkable ability to just, once it's in resonance, it just eliminates a lot of loss or all loss. So we've seen that. We've seen that in the data. It puts out, are you putting in a certain amount, and it just puts out the same exact amount, like with absolutely no loss. Sometimes, and even registered amplification regarding voltage on the output in relevant relationship to the input. Yeah, this is really cool. I'm really excited to get into the results that we have for the system. But that's for later. So that's for the League of Extraordinary Inventors main show. Give me a moment. I'm actually going to take a moment to see if Mike sent the invites to that show yet. Because I know he's been busy with his own breakthroughs and amazing research in solid-state technology. Oh yeah. Nathan just reminded me. So we're gonna be having I'm not sure the exact length, but I think we discussed having like 20 or 30 minutes, maybe an hour, post game show for members only for our podcasts. So this is an attempt to drive fundraising efforts for our research, and these methods really do help because we want to give you guys something extra, and we want to also help fund our research so we can provide more content and provide more research data for the devices and inventions that we're looking into. And I know sometimes this stuff can get expensive, so one of those ways is we have a Patreon that you guys can use to support us, but also get, on my Patreon, I release all this data first. I don't keep anything behind the paywall permanently, but I will release it early on the Patreon for you guys to say thank you for all your support. And I do give a lot of freebies away for people who don't want to invest, but are just poking around Patreon to see if there's anything free. And there's lots of free stuff on there from my Patreon. And Nathan is in the process of creating his own Patreon, and we're going to have lots of extra goodies for you guys for the members only section of the YouTube as well, which we also, I think, I haven't discussed with Nathan, but I have a feeling that we're going to put those on Patreon and try to correlate so you guys can either choose Patreon or YouTube to support with. But the goal is to have some of those goodies on there and to drive fundraising efforts. So we're gonna utilize, I think, I don't know, like 20 minutes to an hour after each podcast for members only. And a lot of those might be off topic. That might be like open mics, stuff like that. Fun stuff. Hey, Abraham. This is Beneficence TV, and right now we're going over the Lightning Thief. So the Lightning Thief is a circuit that Michel Morel, my teammate, designed based off of the Daniel Nunez excitation circuit for the ABHA coil. So the ABHA coil is an electromagnetic coil that, when utilized correctly, can be used in energy gains. So it's a very efficient system. In some cases, people have even gotten over unity. And that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to see if the system here, we're getting any extra energy gains. And the data is surprising. We're going to go over the data later. But if we take the data at face value without proofing it or independent analysis or independent verification, if we just take the data at face value, it looks very promising that we're getting some kind of extra energy out of the system. But I can't confirm that at this moment. All I can do is give you the data and discuss it, and I'm very excited to discuss it. We're going to go over that later. But for now, I wanted to go over the circuit and how it works, and just basically give you guys an outline of how easy it is to build. It's all open source. You can build it yourself if you want, but we are going to try to get these devices out to you on the our website or whatever, if you don't have the means or time or whatever to make one, and you still want to test with one, or you want to utilize it for what I'm doing right now in the lab. I'm utilizing it for a nice dim light, a night light, and I just hook it up to a 12-volt battery. It lasts 60 hours. It's incredible. So ABHA coil, ABHA. Yeah, and honestly, the ABHA coil is shrouded in mystery for me because I'm not really sure what it stands for. The ABHA. I don't know what the initialism there. It's not an acronym because an acronym spells out something. ABHA doesn't really spell out anything. I mean, I guess maybe it could be considered because you say it out loud, but it's not a word. So it's an initialism. So I'm not really sure what that initialism stands for. And I'm not really sure what the difference is between the ABHA and the Rodin coil specifically, but I know the Rodin coil is more star-shaped, it seems like, in pattern. And the Rodin coil is different. It is not the ABHA coil that we're using, or the Rodin coil that we're using. We're using the ABHA coil apparently because of the pattern. And again, there's no real encyclopedia that you can go to or database that you can go to for this stuff to learn, what is an ABHA coil, what is a Rodin coil. Hey, Vors with the $10. I appreciate that, Vors. Yeah, like and sub, it really helps out. All that stuff helps out. Again, though, we really don't know. I'm going off of the best the best I can based off of the research that I have done into these coils. And I would like to talk to maybe Marco Rodin or Randy Powell or any of the legends of renewable energy. I would like to talk to them and specifically go over some of these things, or anybody who has delved into the research and knows what the difference is between those two. But specifically to me, it appears that the ABHA is the winding pattern difference. You get the more spiral shape, and with the Rodin coil, it seems like you get more of a star shape. And you can wind a Rodin coil pattern around the inside of the donut of the ABHA coil as a pickup coil. And that is actually what we're going to do eventually, because a lot of the energy is wasted in the center. It's wireless induction is the method to utilize the most efficient, or to utilize the system at most efficiency. So when you want the system, when you want to utilize most of the system's energy, you want to tap that 0 point. You want to tap the wireless energy that's coming out of there. And I've demonstrated that there is wireless energy coming out of the coil. It's not just something that you have to sit on top of the coil either. With another ABHA coil, you can put that thing 6 inches to a foot above it, and it still picks up the power pretty well. It's pretty incredible, and there's no dangerous spark gap or plasma discharge like in a Tesla coil. So even at that remarkable yet novelty feature, we can demonstrate that the coil has a remarkable ability to wirelessly induce energy at no extra cost of the input. Now, when we can maximize the resonance and the ability to pick up that extra energy, then we can say for sure that we can utilize that for some kind of practical application regarding maybe, powering something decent, like transportation, right? That's what I want to do with Phase 3 testing. We're in Phase 2 right now. We're trying to get the most efficient system. Phase 3 testing is to utilize the most efficient system in a small scooter or go-kart or something that I can use to get around with without having to waste money on gas. As you know, gas is expensive. This country is expensive. It is hard to be poor in this country, let me tell you. So this is all for you guys as well. Like, I'm not keeping anything to myself. I want to do this so everybody can utilize these efficiency gains for their own means, because I know it is hard out there. I know some of us do need to, maybe save an extra $20, $30 on their power bill every month, or have some kind of backup system if their power goes out this winter, right? That's very important to me. And now that I have a backup lighting system, we're going to move on to heating. And that's really what I want to do, is have some kind of backup. I know exactly how to do it, guys. I know exactly how to do the induction heating with the coil, at least in theory. I haven't really done it yet, but in theory, I know how it works. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's very simple. You just use the closed stereo method of the coil, like you would use a speaker, or to spin the neodymium sphere like I've done in the past. Use the closed circuit method, and then you just simply input a iron core in the center. And if you crank up the power with the closed circuit, the amperage just goes through the roof, and all that amps are gonna all those amps, they're gonna go directly into that iron core. And that's, in my theory, how it's gonna work. But that's how Daniel Nunes did it. He put an iron core in the center and heated up, right? Now, regarding a safe method to utilize that, that's a whole different ball game. Okay, that's, we're not obviously going to have a coil in my living room with a iron core and me, like, rubbing my hands and putting it up to the coil. No, we want to have some kind of dispersion method, maybe with like a I don't know, like a radiator tube or pipe with some water in it. I don't know. Those can get dangerous though. So we'll have to see on that. But small steps. I would like to make a power factor correction app if anything. Yes, that's a very good idea. And the power, that could be very, very good for the green machine, because the green machine, I want it to be an all-in-one system. So what I can do with the green machine in theory, and I don't have a working model yet, but this is just my theory, and I'm going to put a couple of small circuits in there to monitor the input and output wattage. So we can essentially utilize the LCD screen of the green machine, which is basically the stereo amp board. Michelle is working on a stereo amp replacement board, PCB, that we can use instead of just putting that bulky stereo amp mini board in there. So we have, the stereo amplifier board, and then I'm going to put a couple, we have a mini Arduino or equivalent to control the LCD screen. And then we have the input and output wattage monitors. Now this can essentially allow you to monitor not only your RPM of your spinning magnetic rotary, it can allow you to monitor the input and output wattage and efficiency. As you can see it, the monitor will be able to monitor the input versus the output, and when we've seen the neodymium sphere spins in my system, it'll reduce the wattage like 10 watts. You want to calculate that efficiency in the system, so that's all going to be programmed into the green machine. And I think a power factor correction app would probably be ideal with that as well. I don't know. What do you think? But we want it to be an all-in-one system. The green machine is supposed to be something that you can just set up very easily and not have to have all these components. Just have your coil and the green machine and your source. That's it. You know, if you want to test it with a load, that's, that's obviously you're going to need some kind of pickup coil as well, but you can use any pickup coil. You don't just need a Rodin coil or a Abha coil. You can use any kind of pickup coil for these. So anyways, back on track. The last difference between this circuit is the transistor, which is the MJL21194G. And that is a fast switching NPN transistor. And again, Nathan and I both recommend the NPNs for these circuits, but Gerald utilizes the PNP. And I guess he does it pretty well. So we did test our system, our Joule Thief, with the PNP. And it does work pretty well. But it doesn't seem to be as efficient, but pretty dang close. So I will say, it's interesting. It's very interesting. At the end of the day, we're still tuning the system, and that's why we're getting it into the hands of the team, right? I want Nathan to have one. I want Gerald to have one. Everybody to have one who has a coil to test this and see if we can get any kind of tuning out of it. Maybe somebody has an idea of how to introduce a new component or something that could make it more efficient. Everybody has their own ideas, and this is, after all, the Fringe think tank. We're a giant team of fringe scientists who like to push the boundaries, push that bar. Yeah, PNP or NPN, it is a matter of how you view the current. Conventional positive, but I view it as electron/negative. Yeah, so I'm still learning about transistors, but Nathan, he swears by the NPN over the PNP. And as we've seen, Nathan, he's onto some pretty remarkable stuff regarding reverse engineering the Colorado experiment. So all right, so we're going to skip all this because all of this was outdated data. Let me show you guys the other circuits here real quick, though. So like I was saying before, this is the stereo method, the closed circuit, where you see you don't have a load attached. It just has the end of channel A connected to the start of channel B. And this is a great way of demonstrating a magnetic monopole if anybody wants to do that. And in their testing of these coils, you can demonstrate a magnetic monopole. You just I think the power threshold for my coil is like 20 volts. It wouldn't produce any kind of register pole reading with my reader unless it hit like 21 volts or something like that. So again, power threshold is a factor. You don't want to hook up too few volts to this thing and get no effect and be like, oh, well, it doesn't work. And to the right, we have the open circuit method, which I like to call the Nunez method. Now, the Nunez method is an open circuit method where you resonate the load with the rest of the system. So you see here that the load is literally the positive of the load is just basically connected to the end of channel A, and the negative of the load is connected to the start of channel B. Now, this is very important because it connects these two channels through the load, allowing the whole system to obtain resonance and to still feed that energy in opposing directions. So the capacitor here that's used in parallel with the load, the 0.15 microfarad capacitor, it says it's optional, but honestly, until I hooked it up, I didn't see any kind of significant multiplication from the voltage. I did not get any neons to light up without that capacitor. So keep that in mind. Your coil, if you're not utilizing the Dragon 7 coil frame like I am, it might be a little different. Fluorescent tubes are what's recommended here, though. Keep that in mind as well. So again, we have a system that's utilizing high wattage LED panels, but the Nunez recommend fluorescent tubes, 10 to 40 watts. And why it says 10 to 40 watts, and I want you to pay attention to this. This is very important. 10 to 40 watts, because depending on the load acts as a conductor. Or I'm sorry, the load acts as a capacitor, right? So depending on and the capacitor can change the frequency. So depending on the load, you could drastically change the resonance of the system and throw it off. So you can have it halfway tuned, right? It'll be fully tuned, and then you put on the load, and then it drops in efficiency. You have to tune the load as well. You have to choose your load. You have to monitor the output versus the input, and slowly up the load. And this is what I've discovered. In my theory, if we do this correctly, if we tune the load correctly, like if I'm able to save up enough to get another LED panel that's maybe 20 watts instead of 40 watts, or maybe 10 watts instead of 40 watts, we'll monitor the output versus the input, and we want to look for that 50-50 sine wave. Now, what we've seen empirically is that the sine wave, is the waveform, the duty cycle switches from 100% on the battery, and what was it? 95% off and 5% on the battery, and then the same on the output. And then when we tune the load, specifically when I brought that load up, because I had basically 12 volts of DC fans hooked up in a neon lamp. So it wasn't a lot of amperage requirement there, right? And as a consequence, it wasn't a high wattage requirement for the system. And those fans might have thrown off the resonance as well. I'm not sure on that. But the point is, it wasn't until I put that 40-watt panel on there that I got the duty cycle to switch. And specifically on the battery, it switched from 95.5 to 75.25. And then on the output, it was 60-40, 60 on, 40 off. This is very significant because it indicates to me that by changing the load wattage requirement or the capacitance of the load, you can essentially tune the system and get that 50-50 sine wave that you want for maximum efficiency, which is the square wave to true sine wave that Daniel Nunes emphasizes is required for over unity in these systems. He emphasized that he couldn't get over unity without that true sine wave. And what we're doing here is we're taking that oscillating square wave DC and we're kind of simulating a true sine wave form, not just by the oscillation, by tuning the load as well. And that's just what we've seen with the data. And it's just a theory. And I have a feeling that by switching the wattage of the load and switching the load to maybe like a 10 or 20 watt fluorescent tube, we can actually see those real efficiency gains and get that duty on the output to 50-50 true AC sine wave. That's what we're looking for here, the true AC sine wave form. Thank you guys. I really appreciate that support, man. For a long time, I was doing this and nobody was paying attention, nobody was watching, and it was very discouraging because I had basically no help. But now that I have a team helping me and I have you guys are part of the team too, it really feels like we are on to some real progress here. And I don't think it's going to be very long before we actually see the results that Daniel Nunes saw with that fluorescent tube in that video with his wormhole coil. I don't think it's just a wormhole coil that's capable of over unity. In my opinion, if you have the energy flowing in both directions, you have at least two channels in a bifilar coil, I think any coil with the right setup and system can achieve over unity. It's just about how to tap that back EMF collapse, that extra energy from the back end. So yes, you guys, I couldn't do this without you. I can't do it without you guys. So, hang tight and you're in for a real ride because we're just on the precipice of breaking through this energy efficiency for the system. Like, I have the data. I'm going to present it to you tonight. And like I said, it hasn't been proofread, it hasn't been verified for any math errors or anything. It hasn't been independently verified by anybody else with the coil, but it will be. And if we take the data at face value It looks very promising. And I just want to remind everybody, if you've been following my Patreon, we did get the LED panel, the 40-watt LED panel that's actually lighting my lab right now on a 12-volt battery, 20 amp hour. We got that to last at 3.3% brightness, approximately 3.3% brightness for 60.5 hours. So that's about 3 days, right? And we got the inverter system. So I hooked it up to the coil, tested it with the battery, and then I hooked it up to an inverter. And the inverter outputs 100% brightness because it doesn't like self-regulate the system, and it's not affected by capacitance or whatever. It just outputs the maximum power. So it's at 100% brightness, the inverter, when I hook it up to the battery. Now, it only lasted an hour and 17 minutes. So I'm going to leave it at that, but I did the math, and I did the adjustments, and the data is very promising. Yeah, and it seems to be working really well. I'll leave it at that. I don't want any spoilers. I want you guys to stay tuned for the League of Extraordinary Inventors, where I will release that data. All right, this is just another, this is the same diagram, actually. It's just, probably a precursor to this one, which is a more professional one. This looks like it was hand-drawn out on a big whiteboard. So this just shows you the difference between the closed and open circuit, the Nunez method on the right and the closed circuit speaker method on the left. This one, it is able to utilize heat. See? And this is what we're going to be utilizing for, or most likely, this is my theory, and this is what we're going to be utilizing for the heating induction for, backup emergency heating for this winter in case the power goes out. And then on the right, you have the open circuit Nunez method. And as you can see, a special of this version is there's no pole detection. With the closed circuit, you get the monopole detection. Hey, old man builds. Nathan's in the house. He just registered as a budget enthusiast. I appreciate that, Nathan. That is really awesome. So we got our first official member. And as you can see, for members, we get the little Nathan emoji. We're going to have a face for everybody. It's going to be funny. Yeah, we're going to have an emoji for everybody on the team. It's going to be really fun. Yeah, that's awesome. I was just going over, Nathan, earlier how we're going to have a special segment for members after our podcasts. So that's going to be really exciting. It's going to be kind of like a post-game show where, we just we kind of like can talk about other stuff if we want, which is pretty cool. So we're going to skip down because, as I said before, all that data had to kind of be thrown out. I'm going to go over this briefly, but again, this is not adjusted for the duty cycle. So we didn't adjust for the power factor here. So this isn't accurate. But I just want to note something to you. Notice how the wattage goes up compared to the input as you add the load. So this load and then the extra load. When I mean no load, we have no load attached. There's nothing attached to the circuit. It's just freeballing it, right? So when we have a load attached, that's just my 6-volt DC Arduino flower fan. An extra load, a second Arduino fan, same exact fan. So we have about 12-volt DC fan. It's not a lot. And then we have the neon lamp, of course, as protection. I'm sorry, no, we don't have it as protection. I did have a neon lamp, though, in there just to see if it would light up as well, but it didn't. It just spun the fans. But as you see, we add more load in the input versus output changes exponentially. Now, again, this isn't the true numbers here because we didn't adjust for the power factor, but it's just interesting to note how adjusting the load on the system can actually tune it. So you didn't, when you find resonance, that's just part of the tuning here. You have to tune the capacitor, right? And the load as well, right? You have to tune all three of those components with the system. And also, you want to make sure that your power source is able to sustain that resonance as well. And what we've seen is you can't use a workbench power supply. You just can't. They have too many fail-safes to prevent damage from back EMF, and they just don't work as RC circuits, right? So they don't work well, in my opinion, from my personal experience with resonance. It wasn't until I switched to a 12-volt battery source, lead-acid battery, that actually was able to sustain its resonance and its waveform a lot more sufficiently. How would the idea of self-governance resonance unfold? Self-governing resonance. So that's, I kind of feel like that's what's happening here in the system already. It does self-regulate. I mean, that's what it does. It's able to easily achieve and sustain its resonance. Like once you tune it, it's almost like you set it and forget it, and it doesn't heat up at all. So yeah, so here we have the equation, calculate the resonant frequency and all that good stuff if you guys are interested in that. But since I didn't know the inductance in Henry's, right? I knew the capacitance. I knew the frequency of the resonance of the coil. But I didn't know the inductance. I didn't have a detector for it. So I actually used this in this equation. I did it backwards, and I plugged in the frequency instead of the inductance, and I solved for inductance, and I think we got what, like 4.38 millihenries. So that's out of, I believe that's Mark 1. Yeah, I think that's Mark 1 coil. All right. Oh, yeah. So let me play Michel's modified Joule Thief circuit so you guys have an understanding of how it's built. I think it's only about 6 minutes, and then we'll jump into his pulsar circuit that he's working on, which is really cool. Like a slap when someone is freaking out.
The average person.
There's a man named Michael with a vision to show. Building towards the goal, he's got the spark, dreaming of a future that'll light up the dark. But on the other side, Bill Nye's on the rise with his laptop charts. He's got down all the lines, and it just fits. It's all in the map. You can't pull from it either. You're just chasing a path. But oh, Michael's rising like a morning sun. With the power of either, he will be outdone. Now stand up and shout, let the truth be above. Feel the energy flow, let's change the world. In the heart of the lab, the tension was thick. Skeptics gathered round the table ready to pick. Chose your fruit, but let the taste clear. And I find the stream, you're just chasing a spin. The Michael smile by with fire in his eyes. Just watch as I spin, let the naysayers cry. Girl spin fast. and a heart full of fight. I'll show you the power that's inside. Oh, Michael's rising like the morning sun. With the power of either, he will be outdone. Well, stand up and shout, let the truth be unfurled. Feel the energy flow, let's change the world. I'm the best there's ever been.
All right, so that was Michel Morel's excitation circuit. So that's our lightning thief, ladies and gentlemen. That's how to build it if you're so inclined and you have the technical capabilities. But fair warning, there is a disclaimer. If you, we are not liable if you hurt yourself or anybody else or you damage your property. This can be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. So just keep that in mind. You're dealing with high voltage. So this is Michel's pulsar circuit. So this is using an ICC. And I don't know too much about it. I don't think he actually gave me the schematics for it yet. But he is trying to tinker with it and tune it specifically. Oh yeah, Michel actually has a YouTube channel. We're going to take a look at his video first before we look at the actual Vortex pulsar circuit. So let's go over to Michel's video. He released a video, I believe, on his pulsar circuit as well, in action. Give me 1 second, I'm just trying to find the video, guys. There it is. All right, let me pull this up. Okay, so this is Michel's bench. This is his YouTube channel. I highly suggest you go and subscribe to it. I'm going to put the link in the chat right now so you guys have a direct link to it. We're going to take a look at a couple of videos that he posted. So this is his ABHA coil pulsing magnet system.
Liberty Mutual customized my car.
Pretty cool. Give me 1 second to go past this ad. All right, check this out. He's got a diatomically magnetized cylindrical magnet in the center. That's weird. It has to be on an angle? That's super cool. Look how fast it's spinning. And look at those spikes in the background on the oscilloscope. Look at those oscilloscope waveforms. Yeah, look how fast that thing can spin. I mean, it makes sense. You've seen the neodymium sphere on my system spin.
We all
like
experience
mad.
it at some point. It's so important to me that I've actually been
A quick update on the AC square wave circuit. So I've finally managed to tune it properly, so we've got...
So this is the circuit that he's working on to replicate the true AC waveform that we get from the stereo amp receiver. This is the ideal method of utilizing the efficiency of the coil, in my opinion. So we're trying to see if there's like a simple circuit that we can replace it with, and he's doing magnificent research on that front. And this is a video that he posted on his updates on that. Hey, John Gray, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate you, brother.
The
Haven't already, hit that like button. It really helps out with the algorithm.
mean voltage minus 2 volt. Then we've got the max voltage, which is 2 volts, so it's positive, and then the mean is negative, and the amplitude is 5.6. So so it's working really well. So we've got negative cycle, we've got positive cycle, and that's the total that we've got. There's the peak to peak here. So peak to peak, the min -2, and the max 2.9.
Hey, Coils, how you doing?
So
Great to have you with us.
Is perfect because we've got a positive cycle. Maybe if I can close this. Let me try to close this. Yeah, you can see we've got a perfect square wave, which is an AC square wave. We've got positive cycle and then the negative cycle.
So that's good, because with the tune or the proper tuning or tone
so this is the
input,
circuit
we can
here.
actually turn that into a true AC sine
What I
waveform.
did initially is
Because the coil has the ability to do that for some reason. It's really weird. I've seen it happen before with the Fireball coil.
Like, so what I did is, if I can,
I had it on a square
Maybe
input
zoom
for the
out a bit.
stereo, and on the output, I got a true sine wave. It was very smooth. It was very weird. I've never seen
And then
anything
just
like
remove
it. Not
the
even on the Mark
wires.
1.
and then I'll put my resistors here. So we've got one here, one resistor, and then the other one. So we've got both emitters that are connected together. So there's the emitters, and then we've got one LED that goes one way. So that looks like it's the positive rail. So we do positive to negative, and then we do negative to positive, right? And then I just need to put the frequency, so it's this resistor here, and I'll put it on 1 hertz. So if I change this to pin 6, right? Okay, so now we should have the LED flickering. So here they're flickering at the same time, which is incorrect. So I'll just flip one of them to the wrong polarity, or the opposite polarity.
Mike does says you use plate conductors. I'll have to look into that. That's a good idea. Thank you.
Yeah, here we go. So that's the
You can see the oscillation.
AC square wave cycle. So that's just on 1 hertz. That's what it looks like on 1 hertz. You can see one shut off and then the other one turn on. If I unplug all of that now, so I'll just turn the power off for now. Turn it off, and then I remove the LEDs, and then I connect the just the 2 emitters together. So be this one here, and then this one here. So I'm just plugging this in here. I'll just grab another one, so I'll grab this one for now. So this is what happened to the coil when we put 1 hertz of frequency in there. So I'll just plug it in. Plug this in here.
So again, you have 1 input and 1 output, and the other 2 wires of the coil are connected together.
And then
at least that's the method that we're utilizing in the stereo amp. I think that's how he's utilizing it as here as well, but I can't confirm until I get the diagram of the schematic.
So you're gonna see on 1 hertz, this magnet will just spin.
So we don't actually have a name for the circuit yet. It's just Michel's pulsar circuit. It's his attempt at recreating the true AC sine wave. So we don't have a name for it yet, but I'll think of one. It's most likely going to be the end result for this circuit. The final circuit is most likely what's going to be in the green machine that I'm going to make our all-in-one pulsar circuit unit with the LCD panel and all the inputs and all that.
Half a cycle forward, half a cycle back. So I'll show you that. So here.
So yeah, he's pulsing with a square waveform here, but specifically regarding like different energy applications, we want a true AC sine wave outside of the pulsar circuit. So a true AC sine wave is what we're looking for regarding over unity and energy gains. But we can, and we have seen the coil turn a square waveform into a true AC sine wave. So, you know, maybe if we were able to monitor the output sine wave or output waveform of the wireless induction field or whatever, maybe that would show a true AC sine wave produced from the square waveform. I don't know. I really couldn't say. There's still a lot of stuff that we have to test and research here. But what is known is our method of tuning the pulsar circuit, which is specifically driving up the frequency slowly and steadily until it, obtains a steady rotation, and then you can kind of slowly increase it from there, driving it up. And it's my theory, the closer you get to the resonant frequency of the system, say it's 2170, like my Christmas coil, if you can get to that resonant frequency, I think you might achieve some kind of amplification like we see in the Nunez method, where you tune your coil, you get good voltage, doubling, and then all of a sudden it amplifies to 10 times. So that is important to note here, because that's what we've seen, that's how these coils behave. But in terms of, what the implications are so far, there's still so much testing. That's why we're trying to get the system out, the green machine and the lightning thief out to the team, so they can help help us through these testing processes and help with independent verification. So
here I'm plugging everything back to where it's supposed to go. If I can grab the wires. Okay, you can see on 1 hertz, so it goes a cycle forward, a cycle backwards. You can see it's beating like a heartbeat. Go back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. So that's a AC square wave cycle. And then now all I've got to do is just change the frequency, right? So I'll change the frequency with, oh, I think it's this resistor. We'll try that one. Yeah, we'll try that one. All right, let's try that. So, okay, let's try this. Yeah, there we go. So straight away it started spinning. Not spinning fast because the frequency is not very high, but it is spinning. You can see it spinning. And that's AC square wave. You can see I can try to increase the frequency. Yeah. So the circuit is working really well. So that's just an AC frequency, and that we can set at 27 hertz. So circuit is working. So we've got NP, 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 then we've got the 555 oscillator, LMC 555. And here I've just used they're nearly flat batteries here, but 2 9-volt batteries, and then the middle of the batteries is connected to this rail here, which is the ground. So we've got a plus 5 volts, minus 5 volts, and 0.
If there are.
So that's pretty cool. I'm going to pull up a video here that I'm pretty proud of that's going to show you just how much efficiency you can gain by utilizing the magnetic rotary in these pulsing circuits. I'm not using Michel's pulsing circuit here in this next video. What I'm going to be using is the mini stereo amp board. So specifically, the here, let me zoom in. So specifically this method on the left. So you see here, this method on the left is a closed circuit method, and this is what we're going to be using to drive our neodymium sphere in this next video. And check this out. This is very cool. All right, everybody, here's something really cool. We have the stereo method hooked up right now. Okay, 10 volts from our power supply at 140 milliamps. Okay, we're going to spin this little neodymium magnet, and we're going to monitor the wattage. Okay. Oh, it's not going to show it. Oh, you got to show it. There we go. Okay. So, 7.3 because we don't have it on. We're going to turn it up. Check this out. Okay, let me take that. I'm going to take the magnet out first. Okay, we're going to turn it on. I'm turning it up. Look at the watt consumption. 24 watts. Okay. Now watch this. The system is consuming
We're
24
going to put
watts
the
to work right
neodymium
now.
magnet in there, spin it up, increase the frequency.
All I'm doing is putting a tone into it. That's it. No power. This is our tuning method.
Wow.
Look at that. That's insane.
And then it goes back up, 24. We saved 10 watts of power by spinning this thing. Holy crap.
So that's pretty cool. That was a huge discovery when I ran that test, and it was very surprising because when Daniel Nunez had his rotary hooked up to his vortex pulsar, he only demonstrated, now he might have gotten this kind of efficiency, but you know, none of his videos survived if he did, because the video that did survive showed him getting about 1 watt difference. So when he spun his magnetic rotary, he was taking in 4 watts to run the system, and then he spun the magnet and it went down to 4. Now this went down from 24 watt consumption to 14 watts. Now that's pretty cool. That's really, really cool. Uh, 10 watts more efficient when magnet spins any postulation. Yeah, so it's something to do when the magnet spins, it generates extra energy for the system, and specifically it reduces the input requirement. It's really cool. Yeah, it's very neat, and it's very simple to do, and this is what we're trying to implement with the here, let me see if I can show you. I have it on here. Give me 1 second. I'm going to put the picture on here. Okay, there we go. All right, do I have it on here? Yep. Okay, so this on the bottom, I know it's not green, not yet. The bottom half of it is green, but this on the bottom is going to be the green machine. Now, it's going to be in green in color, but it also is going to be green in efficiency and in terms of the renewable energy that you're achieving here. Recycling energy, right? Basically what you're doing. And you're mitigating loss, if not reducing it altogether. And in some instances, even achieving energy gains and overcoming that loss. So the green machine is supposed to be an all-in-one system where you guys can perform some of these experiments and utilize them in your own fashion. Pretty easily. So it's going to be an all-in-one system. You see the LCD screen here. It's going to have a couple of buttons to monitor or to navigate through a menu, which will have a few options. The options that I'm planning to have are RPM monitoring, where you can monitor the RPM of the system. That specifically I might have to hold off on until we actually have a proper magnetic rotary, because we're going to have to pair that with a sensor, right? Unless we do some kind of input, which could be complicated. But either way, the RPM monitoring is definitely a feature we want to have, because that's definitely going to play a part in letting us know what our tuning capabilities are of the system, right? So how fast is it spinning when it's getting this X amount of efficiency. And the other two menu items will be to monitor the input and output wattage. So it'll act basically as an input-output wattman, where it can calculate the efficiency for you in that respect, so you can actually gauge exactly how much more efficiency you're gaining by spinning your magnetic rotary. And in that respect, it should, and on top of the last option, which is a timer, basically just a timer so you can time your circuits and see how long they last on a battery. That probably will be a good start to forming an all-in-one inclusive system, so you guys don't have to mess around with this component or that component. You just have everything right, ready to go. You just have to have the coil and your power source, and wham bam, you're good. Yeah, I mean, a tachyometer would work, but we want something more sensitive. I'm not going to go into it because we have a couple of ideas that we're not ready to release publicly yet. But yeah, a tachyometer could work, sure, in the meantime, as a substitute. The top two components are the Lightning Thief. You have one of my earlier versions here. It doesn't have a green top because, I ran out of plastic, so. Here, let me disable this green screen. All right, so this is the Lightning Thief. It's a very simple circuit. It'll be your go-to for getting started with testing with your coil. Again, I haven't tested it with other bifilar coils, but I'm sure it has some kind of positive effect because it's a jewel thief, so they work good with any kind of bifilar coil. But as you see here, it's very simple. You have the neon lamp indicator light that's embedded into the BeneficenceTV logo here, and that'll tell you once you have the potentiometer attached, it'll tell you when you're tuned in resonance. Okay, so this isn't the final system. The consumer version will probably have a potentiometer attached to it, so you can tune it yourself without having to actually open the component up. But this component, once you open it up, attach a potentiometer, you can tune it, right? And then once you find that tuning, that sweet spot where the neon lamp lights up and you kind of hear this whistle, it hums, it literally sings to you, that's how you know it's in resonance. And you take your potentiometer off, hook it up to a multimeter, and then you monitor the ohms, the resistance of the potentiometer at that moment, at that reading, right? Don't touch the potentiometer, just take it off and read it. And then you replace the potentiometer with that reading equivalent in resistance. So you get, say you have 33 ohms, which is what I believe the Christmas coil is are registered at. So you have 33 ohms. You take 33 ohm resistor or worth of resistors, and you put them in place of the potentiometer. And once you do that, you don't need the potentiometer. The system just starts up, like you see in my system. I just plug it in, and it goes, right? I just attach a load, and that's it. So it's very simple, very straightforward. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to streamline everything, make it as simple as possible. So basically, you can just tune it, plug it in, and forget about it. But the final consumer version, I plan on having a potentiometer built into the system, and then maybe like a locking mechanism. So you don't have to open it up. You won't have to open it up and replace it, but maybe you just lock it in, and that's how you can save your sweet spot. Because again, having it slightly detuned might have some practical applications as well. We don't know, okay? The system is still being tested, so I plan on having more of those printed out as soon as I can get some more funds for some more plastic. And we do have the PCBs for the Lightning Thief. I believe Mike Michel tested them out, and they do work. He's testing out other PCBs that we're going to be providing, I think one for the green machine as well. So he's done a lot of amazing research on that. I can't thank him enough. He's incredible. He's like a true electrical engineer in that respect. So we want to try to get this stuff out to you guys, but it's gonna take some time. I can't give you a specific date, but I'm trying to push for at least mid to late 2025. I'll have some kind of consumer version of the Lightning Thief on the market, along with the Green Machine. So yeah, slightly detuned is beat frequency. Try something holding like a comb from a Van de Graaff ball or bushes. Yeah, so yeah, there's so many tests that we can do with the Lightning Thief. So many ways you can modify it easily. So if you're like a tinkerer, you get a Lightning Thief in the mail and you've played with it, you tinkered with it, but say, you're a tinker, you want to open it up. It's a very simple circuit, open it up and kind of play with it a little bit. I mean, that's pretty much what I want you guys to do, as long as you're safe and as long as you understand that I'm not liable for any damage or harm, because, we are dealing with high voltage now, as I've said before. So it's a different category regarding science. It's like we're out of the kiddie pool now, guys, and we're dealing with high voltage. We have to be careful. So please, if you're not comfortable around high voltage, you don't know what you're doing, or you haven't had any experience doing it, or you're not willing to put in the time and learning about safety protocols, please don't even bother opening this thing up. When I have the consumer version on the market, just plug it in, just don't open it up. Yeah, be careful. Be very careful. That's all I ask. Yeah, I'm trying to help everybody save on their energy costs, not hurt somebody. So that's not my intention here. I don't want you guys to think that this thing is safe to open up. It definitely isn't. If you don't know what you're doing, that's all I'm gonna say. It's very simple circuit though. Very simple circuit. Oh, I appreciate that, guys. So we're going on 8:30 p.m. We got 30 minutes until the league. Give me a second to see if I got the invite, because sometimes Mike has stuff come up and he gets busy. So I didn't get the invite to League of Extraordinary Inventors yet. If Mike ends up not having the show, we might have to move on to something and just do my presentation solo. Oh, Nathan is hosting tonight. Okay, so we're gonna be switching over there. Okay, that makes sense. So, actually, if that's the case, let's end the stream now so I can set up over there. So guys, we're gonna end the stream and stay tuned. We have another stream coming up. If Nathan is hosting, give me 1 second just to confirm. But if Nathan's hosting, we're gonna end the stream and pop up a new stream on StreamYards. So it'll pop up on the channel. Just stay tuned. Okay, guys, yeah. So we have the League of Extraordinary Inventors being hosted by Nathan from Old Man Builds. We will be streaming it on my channel as well, so don't go anywhere. I'm going to end the stream. I'm not going to cut off the stream automatically. We'll play some ending credits or something. But so you guys have something to do until the new stream comes up, until I set it up. But there's going to be a new stream coming up for the League of Extraordinary Inventors. So actually, I'll put that link in the comments right now. So give me 1 second. Yeah, I'm going to post the link right now, guys. I'm not going to end the stream right away. I'm going to put something on for an intermission or something while I set it up, and then put the link in 1 second. I'll have it 1 second. So just hang in there. There it is. Okay, there we go. So this is the link to the new stream that's going to be starting in 24 minutes. Okay, so this is the main show, guys. The main show, the League of Extraordinary Inventors, starts at 9 o'clock on this link. Okay, so click the link if you're interested in watching the main show. I'm going to end this stream in about 20 minutes. We'll play some intermissionary stuff for you guys to hang out and chill out, get ready, and so everybody has time and notification of the changeover. So we are switching streams on this channel. So it's on Beneficence TV. You don't have to go anywhere, but we are switching streams. We're starting a new stream with Nathan from Old Man Builds for the main show. Oh, you guys are welcome. No problem. It's my pleasure. So let's go to an intermission, and I'll hang out with you guys until we start the main show. So I'll see you there. Thanks.
Feel the pulse, divine sensation. Everyone needs just a little foundation. Feel the pulse, divine sensation. Everyone needs just a little salvation. Dreams arise, seeking out the morning light.
Majestic moments in cosmic flight, holding on to stars of starlight. There's a light within the dark waves, guided by echoes of ancient ways. Unify our reflection, with every there's a connection. Feel the pulse, divine sensation. Everyone feels the goodness of our invitation. There's a light within the dark waves, guided by echoes of ancient ways. Unify our reflection, with every beat there's a connection. Feel the pulse, divine sensation.
Cast away, alienated from the age system are treated like a toy. Ideas are misunderstood, but brilliance is his point. Benefactor boy, can't you hear his voice? Talking about 0 point, the points lost on them. Capital structures crumbling from the same old stem. They laugh like I'm crazy, but I see it all so clear. Exploited labor, unheard, injustice, burning ears. Fighting for a change in this wasteland of noise. But they call me foolish, why teach and ploys? Benefactor boy, dreaming about the world begin to play. Changing the system, but treated like a toy. Ideas misunderstood, but brilliance is his point. Benefactor boy, can't you hear his voice? Chasing revolutions in the darkest nights. A dreamer with vision beneath the laughter and noise. A future so bright waiting for the right choice. Benefactor boy, dreaming about the world he can't deploy. Changing the system, but treated like a toy. Ideas misunderstood, but brilliance is his point. Benefactor boy, can't you hear his voice? In the depths of the unknown, radio waves like dark shows, mysteries unrepacked and shown. Solutions defy what we know, hidden truths we're never alone. Follow me down the rabbit hole, secrets and binding codes, breaking the mold, define control. Power bursts without a soul in this digital catacomb. We spread the truth of the truly bold. Epics we uncover, forbidden undercover. Rise against the silence, breaking through defiance. Energy from the ether flow, quantum realms, the science of flow. Whispers from ancients echo, gravity's unhooked, let's go. Beyond the reach of their woe, floating with you ever come. Bridge the gaps, all light shows. On we roll, past the fables they sow. This is all been our road. Epics we uncover, forbidden undercover. Rise against the silence, breaking through defiance. Synth waves crashing, hearts collide. Revolution of the mind. Let the codes and truths unwind. Illumination find. Epics we uncover, forbidden undercover. Rise against the silence, breaking through defiance. our golden curtains. You didn't know we're shattering the silence. Feel the power. Revelations on the rise. From the shadows, light emerges, breaking through the veils of dark. 0 points and gravity converge, yeah. Guiding voices, revelation start. Ancient whispers call. They're begging us to open our eyes. We stand tall, defying all their lies. Even in now, we're shattering the silence. Feel the power. Revelations on the rise. Forbidden knowledge we dare to see. Unveiling secrets, setting us free. In this epic, we play our part with fierce hearts. You didn't know we're shattering the silence. Feel the power. Revelations on the rise. In the depths of the unknown. Shadows in the side, minds open wide. Fringe heroes unite, secrets can't hide. 0 point dreams, they reach for the sky. Gravity to fight, ancient whispers abide. Welcome